Hi guys, welcome to my channel Vinyl Beauty, or welcome back. I'm Debbie if you don't know me, and today I've got something a little bit special for you. I'm going to be taking you through a part of my vinyl collection. It's a video I've wanted to do for some time. As you guys might know, if you're regulars to my channel, my content is normally about makeup and beauty, but I have combined the two and showcased my vinyl by doing makeup looks that were inspired by my album art, or perhaps by the artist to which the record relates. But today this is going to be exclusively about my vinyl collection, and it's going to be just a portion of it. And we're going to cover my Barbra Streisand vinyl album collection today. I've got 43 of her albums on vinyl, so quite a lot to show you. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Okay guys, so before we get started, just want to say I'm in a different location to where I normally film. I've tried the best to get the lighting to look somewhat okay. I'm using natural lighting, it's a sunny day, so it could get darker and lighter at various points, but hopefully you'll still be able to enjoy it. But before we do, I just want to talk a little bit about why I'm collecting Barbra vinyl at all. So in 2019, I got to see Barbra at Hyde Park at the British Summertime Festival. I was lucky enough to be working there at the time, and I heard that she was going to be performing. And I was like, well, this is somebody that I'm never going to get the chance to see again. But I wasn't, I would say, the massive fan that I am now. I was kind of aware of her music and quite a lot of the songs, but I didn't own any of her albums at that point. And in the morning we were kind of setting things up in the park, and she was doing her sound check, and I just heard her voice soar across that park, and I was just like mesmerised. She was 77 at the time, and I was just stunned at the power and clarity in her voice. Just one of those moments where you just get goosebumps, you know. And so I begged my boss for the night off so I could go and watch her, because I was like, this is something special I'm not going to miss out on. And yeah, I just didn't want the evening to end. I just thought she was incredible. And so after that point, I decided I was going to try and look at her back catalogue and kind of get into some of her albums. And now I own 43 of them. So we're going to take a look at those, and we're going to do it in kind of sections. So we're going to do film soundtracks and musicals, and then we're going to go into her studio albums. We're going to also look at the TV specials, and we're going to look at the compilation albums. Maybe not in that order, but that's kind of what we're going to do. So to start with though, we're going to start with the film soundtracks and stage show, of course, because that's one of the things she's most known for, was her performance in this show, Funny Girl. So I bought this t-shirt at the concert, so it's the same artwork as the album, and I love this one. It took me a while to buy this actually. It wasn't the first one that I picked up, but yeah, it's fantastic. There's a track on here that was dropped from the film that was made of this, and it's called The Music That Makes Me Dance, and I love that track so much. That's probably my favourite on here. But I'm the Greatest Star I love as well. It's the original cast recording, so with Sidney Chaplin rather than with Omar Sharif. But I do own the original soundtrack recording from the film. This one looks a little bit kind of faded around the edges, but that just adds to its charm. There was something that Barbra said on one of her TV specials. I think it was the My Name is Barbra TV special. She said, it's not what something costs, it's where it's been. And that's what I love about collecting vintage vinyl. It's like, who would have owned this before me? Very exciting to me. This one is a gatefold sleeve, and yeah, it's just really beautiful. And the track that they dropped from the show, as I say, was The Music That Makes Me Dance, but it was replaced by the absolute classic My Man, which is in probably my top 3 Barbra tracks. Absolutely love that song. I've also got the sequel film to that, which is Funny Lady. I don't love that one as much, but there are some really nice songs on this one as well. This one again is a gatefold sleeve. And I probably should have sat further back so I can show you those, but you'll have to bear with me. Never done one of these before. But yeah, how lucky can you get? I love that on here. Isn't this better as well? So yeah, there's some good tracks on here, but don't love it as much as Funny Girl. I've also got A Star Is Born, probably one of my favourite roles of Barbra's ever, and of course she wrote the track Evergreen for this one, which is again one of my favourite Barbra tracks. This one is falling apart a little bit. I've got to be very careful with this, but that's the inside of that one. Another gatefold sleeve. But, oh, there's so many classics on here. So, Lost Inside of You, I love. Obviously, Evergreen is a beautiful song. I love The Woman on the Moon, you know, like proper girl power song that one is. And With One More Look at You. Oh, that one makes me cry. So, yeah, just a beautiful, beautiful album. And incidentally, at Hyde Park, Chris Christopherson was there, which was such a touching moment to see them both on stage together. I've also got On a Clear Day You Can See Forever. And from that one, the song On a Clear Day is just standout. That one's just, oh, it's such a beautiful song, and she soars when she sings that. I just love it. So I've also got The Main Event, and the song from that, of course, is The Main Event, which is why I wanted this one. This one I picked up in a local record store for £1. You can get some of these for an absolute bargain, but you don't see it too often. It's kind of hard to find. I was just really lucky on that day just to see it on the racks. I was like, got to have that. I've also got the soundtrack to the movie The Way We Were. This one I've kept in the cellophane. It is very delicate. I sometimes keep my records outside of the sleeve so I don't split the sleeve, so it's still in the cellophane that I keep it in. But this, of course, is the score from The Way We Were. There is an album, The Way We Were, which I also own, but this is the film score by Marvin Hamlish. And it's so, so beautiful, the music to this. It's relaxing to listen to, actually. I do love this one. And lastly, in the sort of film score, film soundtrack part of my collection, I've got Yentl, which I don't think you can be a Barbra fan and not love Yentl. This is just a masterpiece. So this is music by Michel Legrand and then lyrics by Marilyn and Alan Bergman, and they've been long-time collaborators with Barbra, but this is just so beautiful. This is almost a mint copy. I don't know whether this was ever played. It's really, really, yeah, in tremendous condition. And of course it's got Papa Can You Hear Me, The Way He Makes Me Feel, and my personal favourite on here is A Piece of Sky, which, yeah, is just an amazing song. So that's all the soundtracks that I own. I am missing some. I don't have The Owl and the Pussycat, I don't have Nuts or Prince of Tides. I'd love to get those three. I'm definitely missing those. I can't think of any others that were available, but I'm definitely missing those. I'm on the lookout for them. I will get them eventually. So we'll move on now to the TV specials. Okay, so next up, as I say, we've got the TV specials and the live albums. Now, in the 60s and 70s, Barbra had some TV specials, which she won awards for, and these are the albums from those. So the first one was My Name is Barbra. Now, this one's interesting because this is the cover for the UK, and normally her albums are released by Columbia Records, and she's been with Columbia Records the whole of her career, but this is a reissue on the Embassy label in the UK with this cover. In the US it had this cover, which was a picture taken of Barbra when she was 5 by her brother Sheldon. But this one's really cute. It's got some interesting songs on there. It's got My Man on there again, which I love. But it's got things like I'm 5 and A Kid Again and whatever, because they're all a tie-in with the show. You have to see the show to sort of, for this record to make sense, I think. But yeah, I really wanted it in my collection because of the piece of history that it is. Next up, I've got this one, which is My Name is Barbra 2, which was just additional music from the show, and just beautiful album, this one. This is one of my favourites in my collection. I love the artwork to it, but the mix of songs is fantastic, and it's in mono, and I love mono pressings of albums. I just think they just sound so special and so crystal clear in a way. So this one's got one of my absolute favourites, probably my favourite of all time actually, with He Touched Me. Absolutely adore that song. There's songs like Secondhand Rose on there. Where's That Rainbow? That's a beautiful song as well. But yeah, that's the back of the album again, with some gorgeous images of Barbra on the back. Her next TV special was Colour Me Barbra. This one's falling apart a bit, so I'm going to keep it in its plastic sleeve, but I couldn't get a really good copy of this one. It seems to be hard to get one in good condition, but it plays really well, but it's just the cover is a bit beat up. So that's that one. That's got Oh, it's got the minute waltz. I love the minute waltz, and it's got "Gotta Move" on it, which again I love. And that was just recently used for the Bud Light beer commercial in the middle of the Super Bowl. So she's still resonating with audiences 60 odd years later, which is fantastic to see. Then I've got this one, probably my least favourite. It was an experiment, I think, at the time. I prefer watching the show more than I do playing the album. I think it makes more sense when you see the TV special. But this is Barbra Streisand and Other Musical Instruments. And there was nothing that couldn't be used as a musical instrument. You know, there was like kitchen utensils were used as instruments, and there was lots of influences from other countries included in it. Yeah, very experimental, very unusual album. It's got songs like Don't Rain on My Parade, which I should have spoke about that one when I was talking about Funny Girl, because, I mean, that's an awesome song. It's got that on it, but done in an American Indian style. Yeah, you've got to listen to it to see it. It's just such an unusual album. Next up, we've got Happening in Central Park. And again, this isn't the best cover, so I'm keeping it in here just to make sure it doesn't fall apart too much. But this one cost me quite a lot of money. It took me a while to get hold of, but I knew I had to own this one. So this was from her free concert in Central Park, and it's the one where she had 135,000 people there to see her sing, and she forgot the words to 3 songs, and she said she didn't style it out very well, and yeah, just devastated it. And she didn't sing again in public for 27 years as a result, so it's kind of sad really, but it's a fantastic album nonetheless. I love her rendition of Happy Days Are Here Again on this one. It's got He Touched Me. It's got Marty the Martian, which is such a funny and cute song. It's got People. Yeah, it's a fantastic live album. I love live recordings though. So next up I've got Barbra Streisand live at the Forum, and this one was a fundraiser for the Liberal Democrats, and it was in the 70s, and I think her voice was at the peak of its power in the 70s, so this is just fantastic, this album. This is probably the live one I play the most. There's just so much power and emotion, and I think that's what I love about Barbra, because she doesn't just sing a song, it's like she tells a story behind it, and yeah, just fantastic. And then the last of the live ones that I own is the One Voice concert, which she hadn't sung in public for 20 years, and then this one was to raise money for environmental causes and nuclear disarmament, things that like are so resonant now with what's going on today. But she was always so worried about what was going on in the world and conscious of it. And so this took place in her Malibu home, and it was to 500 paying guests who paid $5,000 each to be there. So yeah, this is fantastic. Barry Gibb appears in it with her. It's also available on DVD, and yeah, I watched that DVD again and again. I think this was again one of her highlights in her career. Just fantastic, love it. Something special about this one is that she sings Over the Rainbow, and I think it's the only album that she's done that includes Over the Rainbow, and it's just such a special version of it. So yeah, really love this one. So that's all the live albums I have. There have been live recordings of the concert that she did in 2006, I believe, but some of these albums are so difficult to get hold of, and they go for such a lot of money if you can find them. They were just so rare. I think it was at a time when vinyl wasn't so much the thing. So the ones from the 60s are quite easy to obtain, and the ones from the 70s and 80s are not so bad. But then when it gets to the 90s and after, it was really difficult. And then of course vinyl has a resurgence, so the more modern albums you can find wherever you want. Okay, on to the studio albums then. So this is the first one I've got to show you, the Barbra Streisand album, which was very nearly called Sweet and Saucy Streisand if Columbia Records had had their way. Of course, Barbra has complete creative control, and so she sensibly named it the Barbra Streisand album because that's what people would be looking for if they'd heard her on the radio. And this is a US pressing, still in the shrink wrap, and it's quite rare because it's mono and it's also a Columbia 2i release. So you'll see that on the label there. We've got kind of the 2 microphones there. And this has got her music from her days as a performer at the Bonsoir. So it's got a Sleeping Bee, which is such a beautiful song from that time. I love her 60s music more than any other period, I think. And then, of course, we've got the second Barbra Streisand album, again from that time period. She used to bring out about 2 albums a year at that time, very prolific, you know, with the releases in that time period. This one is fantastic. I think this one and the one I'm going to show you next, if I only had to keep 2 in my collection, it would be these, because this one's got Right as the Rain, Down with Love, When the Sun Comes Out, Lover Come Back to Me, Gotta Move, I Stayed Too Long at the Fair. It's like a greatest hits from the 60s, honestly, and it's just, yeah, fantastic album. But I've also got the third Barbra Streisand album with the photograph on the front taken by Roddy McDowall, which I didn't know until I bought it, but that's another interesting fact about this one. And when I got this one, I was like, I could really do without the $2.99 nice price sticker. But apparently that makes it more kind of authentic, according to my friends on the Facebook official fan group. So I'm not going to try and take that off because it'll probably spoil it. This one has got Bewitched, Bothered and Bewildered, Just in Time, As Time Goes By, It Had to Be You. Yeah, there's some beautiful songs on this one again. Right, next up we've got People. This is the UK version of People, so it's on the Pickwick label, it's not on Columbia. The Columbia release had a different cover, and this one's got a couple that I really enjoy. It's got Will He Like Me, which I love, Absent Minded Me. Of course, the title track People is on here as well. It's another fantastic one. And then we got Je M'appelle Barbara. Now, this one was her least popular release, I believe, but one of my most loved, and I think one of the sort of true fans most loved as well. So I think it recently went gold, and it took something like 42 years to get there, because a lot of it is in French, but she sings so beautifully in French. Half of it's in English anyway, but yeah, it's fantastic. That's the back of it. And it's got a song on here that she wrote herself. It's the first song that she ever wrote, which is my premiere chanson. And Free Again and Autumn Leaves are my favourites from this one. Oh, now this one's fantastic as well. You see, when I go, oh, which ones could I keep if I was only keeping a few? This one would have to be on the list as well. This is Simply Streisand. And this one has got My Funny Valentine, When Sunny Gets Blue, More Than You Know, Lover Man, Where Can You Be? Yeah, some beautiful ones on that as well. So we're moving into the late 60s now, and we've got this one, which is What About Today? Gorgeous album cover on this one. I love the imagery on this. And this one was a lot more sort of political. So it says on the back, the album is dedicated to young people who push against indifference, shout down mediocrity, demand a better future, and who write and sing the songs of today. With my deepest admiration, Barbra Streisand. Yeah, this one was a departure from the music of the 60s, and I do love it. I love the title track, What About Today? Also love Ask Yourself Why. I think that's a gorgeous song too. Next up we have Stony End. So this was when she started to sing more the songs in the style of Carole King and the Laurel Canyon phase. And the title track Stony End, of course, is on here. I probably don't play that one as much as I should, so I need to spend more time with that album. I tend to play all the 60s music the most, and I've kind of neglected a few more of the 70s and definitely the 80s ones as well. This one's fantastic. This is a fan favourite. This is Barbara Jones Streisand. This one, sadly, says on the cover that there's a giant poster enclosed, and when I opened it there was no giant poster. It's very hard to find a decent copy of this that isn't beat up. This one's pretty beat up, but so happy to own it. So it's another gatefold sleeve, beautiful imagery inside, and includes the track Mother and You've Got a Friend as well. Okay, next up we've got The Way We Were. So you've seen that I've got the album of the soundtrack, but this is the studio recording. So it's got The Way We Were on here, it's got All in Love is Fair, it's got I Stayed Too Long at the Fair. Yeah, there's some fabulous tracks on here. Oh, Summer Me, Winter Me, that's a personal favourite for me as well. Yeah, really love this one. I own 2 copies of this because I bought a copy and one side didn't play, so I bought another one. So yeah, that's why I've got another one sitting in the background there. Next up, another one that's interesting from a cover point of view. So this is Butterfly, and this is the front of the album for the UK release. But in the US, they got this, which is not particularly attractive, is it? So it was a slab of butter with a fly on it, and it was designed by her then boyfriend John Peters, but I think it's so much more attractive on the front and the version that we got in the UK. And so I hear this is Barbra's least favourite of her albums, but I love it. I think there's some really good tracks on here. So I love Jubilation, I love Grandma's Hands, and Crying Time as well. So yeah, I don't hate it at all. I think it's a good album. And then we've got Lazy Afternoon, which I hadn't heard anything about until I started to go down this journey of buying all these albums. But again, it's a fantastic album. It's a gatefold again, beautiful images inside. Lazy Afternoon is just such a beautiful song. Letters That Cross in the Mail I love. Oh, You and I love. Yeah, so there's some really good tracks on this one. I do listen to this one quite a bit actually. Then we've got the classical album. Now when I bought this, it was just because of the completionist in me. I was like, I don't know if I'm that much into classical music. Honestly, it's so beautiful. First time I played it, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can get along with this. And you know, music just grows on you, and it's just, as I say, if you've had a hard day at work, you put this on, it's just so soothing. Her voice just lends itself to the classical style so well. It's just gorgeous. Then I've got Superman. Again, I'm lucky enough to have a really pristine copy still in the shrink wrapping. I've just slit down the side of it to open it. So this one's still got the insert on the inside as well, and it's got the lyric sheet as well. So I'm very lucky to have such a good copy of this one. I've also got Songbird from this same kind of time frame, and that album picture is with her dog Sadie, her dog at the time. She's a massive dog lover, as you guys probably know if you're into Barbra. This has got You Don't Bring Me Flowers on, and of course the title track Songbird as well. Next up we've got the album Wet. So all of the tracks on here have some connection to water in some way. So we've got No More Tears, Enough Is Enough with Donna Summer. My favourite on here is Niagara. I love that track. But it's got Come Rain or Come Shine on here as well. Kiss Me in the Rain. Yeah, another really good one. And then we're moving into the 80s now. Not so much my favourite time period for Barbra albums. We've got the album Guilty with Barry Gibb, which was most commercially successful, but it's just not my favourite. I just love the 60s music the most, I think. But this has probably got the tracks that you know the most, I would guess. So again, it's a gatefold. And this one's got Guilty, Woman in Love, What Kind of Fool. So yeah, it's the ones that are commercially successful that a lot of people are going to know. But yeah, not my favourite. This one is a fairly new acquisition to my collection. It's the Emotion album. Haven't really played this enough to comment on it. I've got a really nice copy of it. Need to play this one a lot more. I just, yeah, don't know any of the songs really on it. So the only one I've really heard of is Make No Mistake Is Mine with Kim Carnes. But yeah, I need to play this one way more. This one I love though, because I love Broadway music, and this one of course is the iconic Broadway album. And yeah, this one's fantastic. I love putting it together on here. I love Somewhere, Sending the Clowns, Can't Help Loving That Man, Something's Coming. Yeah, this one's fantastic. I love it. I've also got Till I Loved You, which the only notable song that you might really know on here is the one that she did with Don Johnson. So the title track, Till I Loved You. She was in a relationship with him at the time when this came out. And it kind of tells the story of a relationship from beginning to end. So it is quite an interesting album. Again, I've not played it quite so much as some of the others. I tend to gravitate to the ones I love the most, I think. So then I've got a bit of a gap because a lot of the albums that came out between the last one I've just shown you and the one I'm going to show you next were all on CD. And I've not really collected too many of the CDs. You can get a couple of them on vinyl, but they're really difficult to find. So, for example, Back to Broadway, I haven't been able to get on vinyl, but I know it's available. The Partners album, which is an album of duets. And also the Release Me album, which was her opening her vault for the first time and releasing unreleased material. Those I'd love to own on vinyl. And I would also love to own Love Is The Answer, which was a jazz-inspired one that she did in collaboration with Diana Krall and her quartet. Don't have those, but let's go on to what I do have. So I've got Encore, which is Movie Partners Sing Broadway. I think this came out 2016. It did go to #1. My favourite on here by far is the posthumous duet that she did with Anthony Newley, Who Can I Turn To? I love that. I love At the Ballet as well, which she did with Anne Hathaway and Daisy Ridley, but they're all fantastic. I love this album so much. There was a special edition of the album, I don't know if it came out on vinyl though, that's got the track 50%, which I also love, but sadly that's not on here. Okay, next up we've got Walls. Now this was the first album of Barbara's I ever bought, so after seeing her in concert in Hyde Park, I wanted to buy an album. This was the only one that I could find that was brand new at the time, so I love this. This is a masterpiece. This is social commentary and yeah, just everything that she thinks is wrong with the world and everything that was on her mind she's poured into this album, and it divides opinion, I think. Some fans hate it, some love it. I just think it's absolutely incredible that somebody of her age as well would still care so much about like the world that you're leaving for future generations, and yeah, to make an album like this where she could just keep releasing, you know, tracks from her past, but to release something like this, just really special in my eyes. Fantastic album. And then we come to her most recent release, which is a Release Me album. So this is Release Me 2. As I say, I don't own Release Me 1, but this is where she's opening up her vault, finding tracks that perhaps she didn't like the arrangement on, or there was something that they could enhance on and release now in a way that she wanted them to be done. You know, perhaps the technology didn't exist at the time to do it justice, or it just wasn't right for the album for which the track was recorded for. So I've got a special copy of this. I've got the lavender copy, which was the Amazon UK release, but there's lots of different colours that were released. There was a Spotify, there was a Barnes & Noble, there was a Target edition that had an additional track on it. And the original copy of the album was a red cover. As I say, I only own the lavender one, but it had a beautiful picture inside. There's also the liner notes all done in a booklet, and then this is the vinyl. And my favourite track by far on this one is very more so like the music that I love from the 60s, but it was from 1973. It's in Michel Legrand, Alan Bergman and Marilyn Bergman production, and it's Once You've Been in Love. I love that track so much. I also like the Burt Bacharach Hal David song Be Aware, which is so relevant to what's going on in the world now. Okay, so moving on then to the last category, which is the compilation albums, and I don't know if this one fitted there or where it fits really, so we're going to show you it here. And it's the Christmas album. The image on the front is from a Happening in Central Park concert, and I love this one mainly because of Jingle Bells. If you haven't heard Barbara's version of Jingle Bells, you haven't lived. It's like, I don't know, vocal gymnastics. It really is fantastic. So yeah, I love this album. I've also got this one, a collection, Greatest Hits and More. I only recently added that one to my collection. I've got Love Songs. I think it was called Memories in the States, but it's called Love Songs in the UK. Greatest Hits Volume 1. This one's the only one that's got Sam You Made the Pants Too Long on, and I love that track so much. So yeah, this one's a little bit special. And I've got Greatest Hits Volume 2 as well. And the very last one I'm going to show you is something a little bit special. This one is called New Gold Disc, and it's a Philippines pressing of a Japanese compilation. And this is the very most recent that I've added to my collection. And I really wanted this one. It's got some great songs on there. That's the back of the album. Having talked about the tracks that I love the most, a lot of them are on here. So we've got The Way We Were, we've got also One Less Bell to Answer, A House Is Not Home. I love that. It's got People, My Funny Valentine, Autumn Leaves, What Now My Love, Cry Me a River and My Man. So yeah, it's a really great mix of songs on this one. Really excited to pick this one up because I say it's a little bit more rare. So that's it. That's all of my Barbra Streisand vinyl collection. I hope you've enjoyed seeing them. There's so many more that I want to add to the collection, but this is it for the moment. and I really hope that you've enjoyed watching it. I made it primarily because when I started collecting, I was trying to find a video like this of people talking about their Barbra collection and what they got, and just hearing them, yeah, what tracks they preferred, which albums I might want to pick up next. And I just couldn't find a video like that. So I hope it's in some way inspiring or useful to you guys. And even if you're not a massive Barbra fan, I hope you still enjoyed it and learnt a little bit from it. If you are starting a Barbra vinyl collection, I can totally recommend this book. So this catalogues all of the releases that she's had in all countries, and it's got the 7 inches and the albums in here as well. It's not completely up to date, it goes up to 2014, but it's such a fantastic resource so that you can find out, you know, whether an album is legitimate first of all, what country it came out in, and just, yeah, it's just a thoroughly fantastic, well-researched read, so totally recommend that as well. But guys, that brings us to the end of the video. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Please drop a comment down below. What's your favourite Barbra track of all time? And what's your favourite album? I would love to know if you're a fan. But yeah, that's all from me for this one. Hope you're keeping safe and well. Catch you in the next video. Bye guys.